Well, in this week's edition of Road Warrior, I'm your host Grant Robertson, and today we try out the all-new 2013 Buick Encore. Now what the Encore does for the Buick lineup is downsize it, and actually what I like about it is the crossover segment that kind of takes the SUV lines that you see in the Tahoe, Suburbans and all that, and actually makes it smaller. Now more specifically for this Encore, it's just over 8 feet in the wheelbase and just over 14 feet overall. Now that is definitely a fewer inches compared to the oversized models on today's roads. When you look at the exterior stylings of the Encore, you're going to notice a typical crossover-like look. Now what that means, it's going to have overall short dimensions and it's going to have a nice arched roofline. Now I've seen this on the Lexus RX 330 and other short vehicles where basically you're going to have a huge dome-like effect on the interior. Now what's great about this is when you get in this vehicle, you actually see the benefits of that. You're actually going to have a lot of headroom and it actually feels more kind of roomy than you would think. Now the styling cues go right around to the back of the Encore and they add a little bit of spoiler and adds a little aerodynamics, and it's not really going to fool anybody though into the sports appeal of other vehicles. It's got some nice styling cues on the rear taillights. It actually has backup sensors of this model to help you out and does have a reverse camera. Now what I like about the vehicle is overall it's got some dynamic appeal, it has some chiseled lines and some curvatures around the rear haunches. So overall it's a nice vehicle, and for a Kano small crossover vehicle, it does give you a lot of pizzazz. Now up front you have the standard Buick waterfall grille. You're going to have some kind of implied portholes here. Now these aren't actually real, there's not actually airflow coming out of this, but it gives you that kind of prowess that you see on other Buick models over the years. Now as for the headlights, they're going to have kind of a blue surround around them, add a little bit of appeal. Down low you have total body painted fascia with some tucked in fog lights down low. Now you'll see some other chrome accents down the side. On the handle it actually has a painted strip with a chrome piece. So you have just enough touch of chrome around the exterior, but not too much where there's too much bling. Now, overall the Encore has a kind of monochromatic body color scheme where everything's painted with just a little touch of chrome. Now the biggest chrome you're going to see on these 18-inch wheels. Now these are the optional model with 7-spoke chrome accent. Now the standard model is going to have 5-spoke aluminum. Now the Encore comes standard with a 1.4 liter turbocharged engine. Now what that does is add a lot of kind of spunk to this overall small vehicle. Now by the numbers it's 138 horsepower and 148 foot-pounds of torque. Now while it doesn't seem like a lot, you're really kind of taking a light vehicle and giving it just enough spunk to get off the line. Now, I found it nimble, actually kind of zipped through traffic, and you really didn't have a lot of squeal that you would associate with typical inline fours. Now as for fuel economy, the Encore is going to average around 25 to 33 miles per gallon. Now you're going to lose a couple clicks if you get the all-wheel drive model. Now the all-wheel drive model is great for any of those cold weather areas where you're going to have snow and some slick surfaces, and I think it's a great added option. Now this came of course with a front wheel drive, and I liked it. It was still nimble. We really didn't lose traction too bad. Now as for transmission, it comes with a standard 6-speed automatic that does have a manual-like option where you can kind of shift gears with the press of a button, stuff like that. Now if you've seen my reviews in the past, I really don't like these manual-like options. I think pretty much they're kind of a waste of money, if you say. If they could take that away and drop the price, it would be even better. So overall though, the vehicle's great, and I stick with the standard transmission and kind of bypass that manual-like option. Now there are a lot of surprising features on this vehicle, and we'll kind of hit those as we go along, but one area that I thought was a big surprise, and literally big, is the cargo space. Typically on a crossover, you're going to compromise when you start squeezing everything down, you're going to compromise this area. Now when you look at it, it actually is a decent, not too bad of an area. It actually kind of reminiscent of a typical car trunk, but actually you got the vertical height, of course. Now what you'll notice is you have this divide, and that kind of gives you kind of a hidden tonneau cover like effect where no one can see what's back here. Now you do have some niches for some stuff that might slide around, and overall it's a nice carpeted smooth area where you can put a lot of items. It was actually pretty decent, so I give Buick a lot of props for this. Now when you look on the interior, that's where you're typically going to find the kind of the Achilles heel for crossovers, and what I'm referring to is actual space and comfort. Now this vehicle holds up to 5, and overall it does quite well with that. In the front you're going to find just over 40 inches of legroom. Now across all the SUV segments you're going to find between 40 and 42, so right on par right there in the front. Now as we're up here, you see creature comforts are wonderful. You have a few controls right here. You've got the great system they have in most of their vehicles where you can scroll through what you need, easy cockpit controls, the climates, everything's right where you need it in typical. Now, I'm always a big advocate of the modeling system with the Chevys I've had, and what that is a huge screen where you can literally touch screen everything. Now, I like that. I'm going to keep preaching it, and I think that needs to be across all the GM lineup. Now, as for back seat legroom, what you're going to find, that drops about 5 inches. Now, that starts to be the extreme of knee bleeding. Once you get around 5 inches or more, you're going to start to feel a little discomfort in the knee area. But overall, that's to be expected on this vehicle. Now, once we come into the back, you're going to notice that what we talked about earlier is the legroom's not too bad. Now, obviously, if the front seat passengers move up just a hair, makes comfort overall back here wonderful. Now, as for kids and car seats, you're going to find that the outer seats actually handle that better. The middle is more for the kind of narrow, smaller person trying to sneak in the middle. Now, of course, overall, there's going to be a total of 8 cup holders all the way around. I think that's fabulous. You always want to have somewhere to put your drinks. Now, another innovative feature back here that I like is actually transforming this 5-person hauler into cargo space. And the easy thing about that is you simply have to first fold and move this seat cushion up. Make sure the headrest is all the way down and actually flip it down. Now, the best part about this is actually when it's all laid flat, you actually have tons of cargo space. Better yet, you're actually not having to remove these headrests, which would be difficult considering the headroom here will be limited. Now, some other nice features about this vehicle, of course, is you've got some little blind side mirrors that have a little small magnifying area that kind of enhances your blind spots. Now, of course, at highway speeds, I found this to be a little distracting, as that little mirror is about a $half size, and it is kind of difficult, but it gives you a second option in case you're looking for merging in traffic or changing lanes. Well, this does it for this edition of Road Warrior. I've been your host, Grant Robertson. As always, we enjoyed the Buick Encore and its new addition to the crossover line. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition, and as always, keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.